In this video, we're talking about how the heck do you let go of someone that you once loved. Now, maybe you ended a relationship recently, or maybe not so recently, and you can't stop thinking about them. Or you pull up social media, you check in with them, you feel like you're still attached to them, you feel like obsessive thoughts come in, right? And I understand how all-consuming it can be. I've struggled with that in the past too. So in this video, I hope to not just give you, it'll get better, time heals everything, like that kind of advice, which you've probably heard in other videos. I want to give you some more unique advice that will really reframe a few things up here. If you're struggling with any of that stuff, this will really help. The first reason you need to let go of things is because this is one of the most massive blocks that's preventing you from really moving forward with your life. Without getting too philosophical here, when you're attached to someone in the past that's no longer with you, where are you spending your time even though you're in the present moment? You're thinking about the past, daydreaming, fantasizing, reminiscing, and that's pleasurable. But can you ever create anything out of the past? No, you can only create it in the now. Even daydreaming too far into the future about what you want to manifest. Well, when you experience that thing, when do you experience it? In the present moment. So in a way right there, you're like, well, what's so bad about just daydreaming about them? I wouldn't even label it as bad. It's just preventing you and making it impossible for you to free up and move forward. This is a thing actually in psychology. I was reading a bunch of books. It's actually called the loss aversion fallacy. We're human beings, which you are one unless you're an AI robot. We are extremely averse to losing things, okay? You work much harder not to lose things than you will to gain things. This is why losing someone, even that term right there, I lost someone. Think about how we describe that. That clicks on the loss aversion in your mind. Perfect way to illustrate this. Right now, I'm giving you an opportunity, let's just say hypothetically here, to bet your house, right? Or the most expensive thing you own. You can put it down on black and we'll roll a roulette wheel. There's what, like a 90% chance it'll land on black or red, and you'll either double it or you'll lose it. Now, if you have a house that's like 600 grand, why don't most people, like that would make your heart go crazy. Like, oh, I'm not gonna lose my $600,000 house and the chance of doubling it. See, even right there, you work much harder not to lose something than you will to gain something. That's just how we're wired. And so the very act that you lost someone, or you can't get over someone, right? This is loss aversion right here. That's why it's so hard. Now, the second thing that's going to completely blow your mind is understand that you don't actually have to get over the person that you're thinking about right now. Because here's the thing, you need to get over your story that you're telling yourself about them. And I'm willing to bet 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, I talk to people and I'm like, okay, well, tell me about your relationship a little bit. They're going into this story and I'm like, okay, well, what didn't you like about them? And they start coming up with all these things that they didn't like. And, oh yeah, he was kind of a jerk here, and oh, total narcissist. He hated animals and beat kittens. But we block all that stuff out and we just focus on the positives. So understand that the story you're telling yourself about the person, that person doesn't even exist. Notice how that simple little reframe there of how do we get over someone, that's the wrong question. How do we get over the story we're telling ourselves of the person? You have to understand that the story you're telling yourself is 2 sides of the same coin or lens cap. On one side right here of you telling yourself the story about your ex, about the relationship, the person, you're getting a lot of pleasure from it. And on the other side, it's more obvious you're getting a lot of pain from it. Let's talk about that first. The pain side of the story that you're telling. You know, this is obvious. It sucks. They hurt you. But if we're brutally honest, even within this pain story that you're telling yourself, there's some pleasure there. There's some significance. There's a reason you feel this way. There's a justification for it. So the mind almost goes like, okay, well, if I drop this story that I'm telling myself about this person and about how I was so wronged, or maybe they cheated on me, right? Well, then I lose some of that significance or reason I'm feeling this way. Now, I'll go a bit deeper here. Back in the day, when I was like 13, 14, I was a pretty strong emo phase. Okay, wore the eyeliner, wore the skinny jeans, was a drummer. All I did was play My Chemical Romance. And it was so funny because I didn't objectively have a hard life, but I always pretended like I hated my parents because it fired me up. It gave me a sense of significance. So I would listen to the music because I liked tuning in at the time to those almost like lower emotions, because at least they made me feel something. And if you know anything about the vibrational chart of emotions, right, where you have like anger, shame, guilt, and then there's like apathy, and then you have the higher ones too. Sometimes those stronger emotions at the bottom there carry a really positive charge. So maybe the story is actually giving you a feeling. And it can be scary if you felt it for so long. Who are you without the story? Your mind might be like, well, I might not feel anything, or I might not like other areas of my life right now, and so I'm kind of depressed. And so at least the story is making me feel something. My point is obviously like, yes, you don't want to feel that, but at least that's better than nothing, which is more scary. I hope you're seeing even within this pain, there's pleasure. But now let's look at the other side that we probably don't look at that much, which is the pleasure side of the story that you're telling yourself. One of the biggest pleasure sides of this coin right here is what I call the success fantasy. At some level, we believe that if we change, they're going to come back into our life and realize that they were so wrong and they need us, right? Or we have this image of us getting in shape, or us being a millionaire and them being like, I'm so wrong, I love you all along. To whatever degree we carry that story of us getting back together with that person, that's pleasurable, that fantasy out there. Right? You following this? To really get over this person, or to kind of get beyond the story, means kind of killing that success fantasy that is giving us a lot of pleasure, that is somewhere safe that you go to daydream. Maybe you connect with when you hear songs. So the secret is not some mystical no contact for 30 days, which could help. The secret is not, meeting someone else and still holding on to this coin, right? Of the pain and the pleasure. The secret is to dropping this coin altogether. Both sides. You can't just pick and choose here. You have to be willing to give up the significance you're getting from the pain of feeling stuff or having a reason to feel this way. You have to be willing to heal and move past the story of like this BS fantasy that's floating on out there about how they're going to walk in and be like, I was wrong. I loved you all along, right? If you find yourself like stalking their Instagram page or going back, like that's a good sign that you're holding on to some of this right here. Again, to go tactical, to really drop the story, go through your phone and remove all the photos of you and them, right? If you catch yourself even like going back through and looking at some old memories and stuff, and if that's too painful to like delete permanently, I'm not saying you have to erase them completely. You can be thankful for like the lessons you learned from them. Every relationship you grow from, you learn more about you. You learn how to be in a relationship. There's a lot of like truth there. I'm saying like delete them off your phone, maybe move them to an iCloud so you make it really hard to go back to and look at them. Don't hold on to like tokens of them, which a lot of people do, and it kills their future relationships. And I guess to get super tactical with you, here's what I would recommend. Step one is I want you to take out your journal and I want you to write a T chart right there, okay? Now on one side, you're gonna have pain, and on the other side, you're going to have pleasure. Now the pain column, and this sounds very negative, but remember the loss aversion bias. You don't wanna lose something. There's also another bias that when you lose someone, right, I don't know what this is called, you don't remember the pain they caused you, you only remember the pleasure. That's why a lot of people get back together. So I want you to remind yourself of what you don't like about this person, right? This sounds super negative, but it's gonna help you move on. Remind yourself of the things you hated about them. Make a list of 10 things that you felt you were settling for with this person. These could be everything from they made you feel small when you were talking in a group and they always interrupted you or would put you down in public. Did they make you feel bad about your physical appearance or body? That dude's way bigger than you. You got some fat around there, dude. Whatever it is, 10 things, okay? Now on the other side of that T chart, you're looking at it and you're like, okay, what the heck is the pleasure? I want you to write all the pleasure that you're actually getting from that fantasy and just realize it. You're not judging yourself here. You're not beating yourself up. You're not like stupid, but you're just making a note of like, oh yeah, I do daydream there, or I do have the possibility of us getting back together. Like I revisit that. Or maybe the pleasure is feeling significant when I talk about my experience with my friends and how hard I have it. Whatever that pleasure is, big or small, just write some things there. It doesn't have to be 10, but the goal of that is just to realize that you are holding on to some stuff because it is serving you. It has somewhat of a positive intent. I think another thing that's so important is creating a new identity for yourself, the 2.0 version of you who's no longer willing to settle for just okay relationships, right? But for really attracting what you want. Leveling up to a level 10, right, person, so you can attract a level 10 to you. And so one of the quickest ways I've found to do this is at the identity level. And so creating a new identity for yourself, creating your ideal character and shifting into it so it feels natural for you. We have a process for this. It's our coaching program, Metamorphic. It is not for everyone. Okay, it's very limited. I have limited spots that I can actually take on clients because you're working with me one-on-one. If you want to apply though, if you're really serious about this and you're willing to invest in yourself, feel free to go down below, watch a little video talking more about our program, what it can do for you and some of the models. If it is a good fit, I'm happy to hop on the phone after you apply and hear a little bit more about you, what you're going through, and if it's something we can help you with. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next video. Until then, stop settling, start living. See ya.